Thank you very much, John. I think you heard me mention HTB in the first day, but some of you may not have been here. I think it's really important, this model we've developed in Great Britain, and now we've been 3 years in the making. It's proving a tremendous model for the future. Now, two very important omissions from this conference so far. The first one, we need to hear the retailer view. And secondly, we really must have a greater understanding of the issues in the developing nations. So first of all, I'd like to welcome Rick Bourne, Category Director of Asda UK, which is a subsidiary of Walmart, to come and tell us about the retail view. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that warm welcome. Just a quick understand. How many potato growers in the room? Quick show of hands. Quite a few. Thank you for growing potatoes for us. How many UK retailers in the room? We're in trouble, Neil. Just me and you, mate. Right. I stand before you today. I mean, I have heard two messages already: global food security and sustainability, and those things are really important to Asda and Walmart. I work in a retailer that operates under 69 different formats across 27 countries, and we interact with 200 million customers on a daily basis. So actually we're in a unique position to explain how customers and customer behaviour relates to your products. I know if you're a UK producer, it's been a tough year. I've probably not known a potato year like this for a long time. So we had two really good years, and 2011's proved to be a really tough year. I kind of understand the market's worth about 1.8 billion, and it's only grown at 1%, so it's a real mature market in the UK. Within that, fresh is worth about £1 billion and grew at -6%. So actually we saw something like 65, 70 million pounds come out of our category this year as a retailer. I think frozen, 542 million, growing at 14%. So you can see some switching back into frozen. And convenience market is growing around 7% and worth about 178 million pounds. What I'm looking at today is challenges and opportunities and how in the next 5 years and how potato growers might respond. I think how potato growers might respond is really up to you. You may listen to me, you may not choose to hear what I'm saying to you. And there's a real difference between the collaborative relationship between a retailer and what we say to you and what you then go and do. So I'd urge you to listen and then think about what that means for you as a business. When I look at the opportunities, I think about three things really. I think about customer insight. I know you've all been to various sessions, but customer insight is really important. Their usage and attitudes towards potatoes. And a customer insight is how do you make the complex simple? So how do you make really complex decisions really simple for our customers at point of purchase? And I'll come on to talk about that. How do you talk about habit? Buying potatoes is quite an habitual thing in our society, well, certainly in the UK. It's a core commodity, high basket penetration, participation. So how do you break that relationship and how do you break the habit to actually get customers to reappraise your product? So reappraisal is really, really important as well. And then finally, I want to talk about how you add value. Because if you're a grower, a producer, and you add value and uniqueness, you get the ability to make profit. And, you know, I want all our industries to make profit because that makes a sustainable industry. So on the positive side, we've got consumer insight, habits, and how you add value. On the opposite side, on the challenges, I think you've heard people talk about waste, and customers at home are really telling us they don't want waste in potatoes. They don't want to buy products to just throw it away. They also talk about lifestyle and how competing carbohydrate sources are taking away from the potato sales. They also talk about the economy. They have got less and less money to spend, and it's really important we understand that. So competing sectors are really important. So if you think about waste, competing sectors, and them economising, those are the sort of challenges for me. So, sorry, I've got to get my buzzer. So, just ask yourself a question. Who buys the potatoes in your household? Do you buy the potatoes, or does somebody else buy the potatoes for you? And I know you're all experts, so you'll know what these varieties are. Can somebody tell me what the varieties are? Rudolph or Rooster?
Rudolph.
Rudolph. How do you know the difference between a Rudolph and a Rooster? They're both red potatoes, aren't they? Is there a King Edward on there? Yeah? Or a Cara? King Edward?
Yes.
Yeah. What have we got at the back? Is that a Maris Piper? Is it? See, it's really hard, isn't it? If I was a customer and trying to make a decision without the packaging on there, what product would I make? What decision would I make in terms of why am I buying that potato? It's one of those products where you've got to have some knowledge to do something with it. You've got to transform it in some way. So you've got to think about transformational thinking here. You've got to have education to understand how you roast, chip, boil, fry. Real sort of challenge for you, really, in the sense of what that looks like from a product of how you make the judgment of buying those products. So I'm going to talk to you now about consumer insight. And if you've got teenage boys, you'll probably relate to this. The teenage boy kind of does all the research on what brand of football boots he wants to buy. But in reality, the person who buys those products are the mom, or his mom. So when asked about who buys product for your household, do you know who buys your product in our shops? How much do you know about that customer? How much do you know what they are thinking about your products? So when you are Jersey Royal Potato Company, for example, what you know is there's a window of opportunity to sell that product. You've got to create the opportunity, and you've got to create a need and a desire, a want for that product. So actually, it's really, really important for you to have customer insight. We get customer insight because we see customers every day. We see customers in our shops and they talk to us. As potato growers, you're probably not having that access to customers. And if you really got to talk to customers and consumer groups, you would really understand the pressure that that mum's under. Now, I think in America, in Walmart world, and I think in the Americas, they're talking about a target customer called Linda, who's a busy housewife. She's got a young family to feed, and that's the target audience, and just understand what that customer wants from her products. And that's not saying you can target other people. You can target whatever you like, but it's just understanding how that market works and how that insight works. So I'm going to talk to you about insight now. So we often hear that customers are in control of pace of change. So we sort of think, well, really strategically, we'll think really carefully about what we're going to do. And then the customers don't get it, or they don't buy it, or they don't understand it. So we're sort of thinking, why is this? And I think over the last 2 or 3 years, or certainly after the last 5 years, consumers have been more in control. And if you think about their control, they will part with their cash in the same way as you will, for the right reasons, but actually they're in control. And why are they in control, or why are they controlling the change of pace? They're doing it for 3 reasons probably. Social changes. They want to have personalization. So the insight is they want products to be personal to them. So for me, the growth of social media, social network, I'm sure you, like me, have a young family, and the influence of that family on things like social networking, how much time they spend, is really quite frightening in some ways, actually. They spend more time on the social networks than they do talking to their friends face to face. So your product is out there. You're out there in terms of controlling the message about your business as farmers, as growers. So what are you doing to control that, or what are you doing to influence that in a mature market, and how are you doing that? So that's really interesting for me. The second one is a technological change. And I bet most of you have changed the way you've shopped in the last 5 to 10 years in terms of buying products. You don't just buy products now and assume the price is right. You go on online, you check it out, you do research, and there's no difference really in terms of what that trend is now telling us for potatoes. So the technological change, I think all of you, I suspect 90% of people in this room have got a smartphone or have some smartphones. So you imagine a world when you've got QR labels on your potato bags. They can zoom right the way into Myrick in South Wales, look at his farm, have a view about his land. They can see him. He can talk about his philosophy in the way he grows product, and that applies to us all. Transparency is really, really important. Now, the key for us there in terms of transparency is how do we get in front of that change? I think I heard Chantel talk about how to predict the future. So social changes, technological changes, but then economic changes. With what's happened in the UK, in the mature market, people and the way they pay for products now has changed. I think changed for good. I think they are in a different mindset when they come into our shops, or a different mindset in terms of how they want to get value. So from a point of view of customers, are they changing it? I think we can get in front of it, but it requires some real clever thinking on our behalf. Or we can actually do a lot of usage and attitudes insights, which helps us just to redefine and fine-tune what we've currently got. But it won't give us the uniqueness that we need in terms of keeping potatoes at the forefront of change. So, I've talked about insight. I want to talk about habits now. And the reason habits are important for me is you have to break them to get reappraisal. And if you want customers to buy product again, buy your products again, buy potatoes again, you have to break a habit. Remember that cycle of boy wants boots, mum buys them. If the family say they don't like those potatoes, or they didn't like those potatoes last time, when the person who goes shopping, be it male or female, when they go and they get that feedback from their family, they tend not to buy those products again. So there's a reinforcement of you have to deliver consistency all the time. And consistency of product is then building loyalty through trust. And building loyalty through trust is really important from a brand development as well, and I'll come on to talk about that. But the reason why habits are changing are probably four things. Habits are changing because of petrol prices. So people now are weighing up whether they should drive to a supermarket or not. They're weighing up whether the technology they've got at their fingertips will allow them to do a shop through mobile technology. They're also weighing up the personalization of interacting with people in a shop versus just getting the impersonal delivery on a website and somebody delivering those back at home. So customers are telling us their habits are changing. And what they're telling us is they go to large stores for retail entertainment. They go for large stores because there's a range there. There's got to be a point of difference. Large stores are hard in terms of selling. What they're then saying is the small, medium stores, they're using those as a top-up. So what's happening now is customers are shopping little and often. I think in the latest survey for the IGD saying actually over 46% of our customers are now shopping 3 times a week because of petrol prices and also controlling their budgets. 3 times a week. Think about that from a product point of view. What they're also saying to us is produce is one of the most super topped up items in the food basket. So they run out, they want to go somewhere to get that product because they want to be able to give their family a healthy meal. So, and then the final one is .com. Over 5% of my produce sales on a weekly basis now is online. And it's one of the fastest growing parts of my business. Who could have imagined 3 or 4 years ago somebody saying to me, I'm going to buy fruit and veg off the internet, I've never seen it before, I get somebody else to pick it in a shop for me and it gets delivered back to my door. That personal interaction, I personally come from a generation where I want to go and touch and feel, but there are a load of generations now who don't. You know, one of the things I just recently experienced is my daughter is away and my wife said, we're going to order on the internet and deliver this product 150 miles away from where she's from home. because we could do that to look after us. So the extension of families and how we interact with those are really important. So from a point of view of the growers, the farmers, this has huge implications because growth in a mature market is difficult and it's got a very fragmented market. So very fragmented. When I first started buying in produce, you could supply probably the medium stores and that's all you had to worry about. Now you have to think about pack size, formats. If you are trying to sell a 10-kilo bag of potatoes and all you've done is walk to the store through the convenience store, you're not going to walk back with 10 kilos of potatoes. So this insight about how customers are using product, where they want to buy it and how they want to buy it is really important. So this habit is being formed and multi-channel. So multi-channel is really important for you as growers. So we've done quite a lot of work in terms of uses and attitudes for potatoes. High basket participation. Often, more than often, is on the customer's shopping list. I think 93% of the time, the word potato appears on a customer's shopping list. Not Rudolph, not Desiree, not Rooster, not Maris Piper. The word potato appears on the basket. So what does that mean for us, really? Well, it means for us and growers, it means for us price, service and quality is a given. So for the point of view of where we are today, price kind of gets people into our shops. The quality keeps them coming back and the consistency comes back. So help me save money is making the complex simple. So making the complex simple is, from a customer point of view, if they've got £20 to spend in a supermarket, guess what? They can buy 20 £1 items. It will surprise you that a majority of customers are now not filling their tanks of petrol. They're actually filling up to a price point. They're actually filling up to 40, 30, 20 pounds because they know that's what they can afford. So making it really simple is important at the moment. Real insight from our customers. Love food, hate waste. I think Solanum and Waitrose, I think there were some sessions earlier on about waste. Waste is a big issue at home. Let me tell you, waste is a big issue at home. When we look at pack sizes now, we have to be really careful about making pack sizes right. So when you've got an offer which says 2 for £5 in our shops, and customers haven't got £5 to spend, they're not going to pay £5. So price simplicity and waste go hand in glove. And it's really important we get that message across that customers want price simplicity. They also want price transparency. How many of you would like to buy, how many of you are going to buy something in the next few weeks, have done research on the internet, or have done research about what is the right thing to pay for that product? And you could imagine coming into our shops and then one day the product being £1 and the next day £1.50. They feel pretty hacked off. So try having simple price points which give great trust. And that's really important to them. They have to trust your price position. The other thing about this is, a lot of customers say to us, they want to eat more healthily. They want to eat in season. So, okay, if we're going to do that, what potatoes should we be selling today in our shops? What's the in-season potato at the moment in the UK? Cornish. Is that Mark Rowe out there? No? No. Cornish, Pembroke, Ayrshire. Thank you, Ayrshire. Great call, great product. Do we do that well? No. Do we as an industry do it well? Don't think so. So keeping healthy, I think Dr. Story talked about it, obesity. This thing about understanding, I don't buy potatoes anymore because they make me fat. That's a real connective decision that customers have made, that they're high in carbohydrate. They are fatty. They make me fat. I don't want to eat potatoes anymore. Remember the Atkins diet a few years ago? That was very fussy, high protein, low carbohydrate. I think if you were a potato grower at the time, you'd probably felt a bit put out. We've got to really address the health benefits of potatoes. Got to really think about those. Make my life easy. When I grew up, I actually owe a lot to potatoes because I grew up in Lincolnshire and I grew up in the Fenlands, and I actually worked on a farm. Fortunately, it wasn't my father's farm, else I probably wouldn't be here. I'd be making lots of money growing cereals. I remember mother standing by the sink, washing dirty potatoes, washing dirty carrots, getting stuff for my father's allotment. And I thought, you know what, great idea. I'll sell dirty carrots, I'll sell dirty potatoes because they've got loads of benefits. They've got, they last longer, they look great, and they should be cheaper. And it failed miserably, absolutely died on its feet. So I asked a few customers and they said, do you know, we haven't got time to stand by the sink and wash potatoes. Can you believe that? You know, they haven't got time to wash potatoes. So making this sort of thing about making my life easier is all about how you make the product more convenient. So I'm going to come on and talk about that as well. And then finally, make my life more exciting. So as the recession's bit, as we've got more economising, people are still not wanting to skimp on, particularly on good food. And actually, what they're looking for is excitement at the weekends, particularly. And what they're looking for is products that they can show off to their friends. They can cook, they can create some unique meals for. They'd have to go to the top restaurants, but the chefs are fantastic because what the chefs do in the UK is create a kind of a latent demand and image to sort of say, I could do that. It's quite simple. So you see Heston's TV in Search of Perfection. I think his chips, I think he cooked them 3 times before he put them on the table. You know, how many people can do that in the middle of the week? But certainly as you get through the weekends, you want to do that. You want to be able to replicate what some of the top chefs in the UK do. So that's a real kind of piece. So if you can do this as growers, you can start to think about how you can create more demand. And if you create more demand, we sell more. If you create more demand and you're the only people doing it, you're going to make more profit, guys. Simple as that. That uniqueness allows you to create profit. So, how do we add value? I think Ronnie, I think Rooster, Bartlett are doing a fantastic job. I think intrinsically, if you think about some of the things that are happening from customer insights, one of the things that's happening at the moment is a reappraisal of brands. They're kind of going back to a bit of trust on brands. As long as the brands give themselves the right price position, they are trusting brands. Remember I talked about uniqueness or trust and consistency? If a brand can give them consistency, they'll do that every time. So the person who's eating the meal said, these potatoes were fantastic. That reinforces that habit back. Next time I go to the shop, I'll buy that product because we didn't have any waste and the family liked it. You see the link that's starting to develop there. So if you can create a real halo. Now for us, I'm not sure whether that's a brand in terms of Rooster, because that costs a lot of money. But I do think there might be a brand, a loyalty towards Maris Piper, King Edwards, how we can bring those out, how we can bring the Ayrshire potatoes out, how we can deal with Cornish versus Jersey, and how we can create some synergies between those products, not necessarily competing. They come one after the other and they create a seasonality. So it's really, really important for me. At the other end, Nick and the guys at McCain's, and I spoke to him earlier on today, do a brilliant job. Brilliant job. You know, if you want something quick in the middle of the week and you've got to produce 3 or 4 different meals, then, you know, having a frozen option is fantastic. And you've only got to look at what's happening at the moment, say, for example, in the sweet corn market. Frozen sweet corn is something like 50% up year on year. Because a small tin now is worth about £1.60. Customers are working out really, really quickly, if I buy a bag of frozen, there's no waste, I've got portion size, and it's cost less. And we used to say frozen customers are different from fresh customers. They're not anymore, guys. They are really working these things out. And I think one of the things that stands out to me this year, and I think it's been absolutely brilliant, is the launch of the McCain's oven roasty there. I think that jacket potato is absolutely brilliant. I just think it hits the mark for people who want to have that convenient midweek meal. So, as a potato grower, understanding customers, their lifestyle, what they're doing, how they're doing it, will allow you to think about whether I'm at the raw end of the potato market or whether I'm at the fully processed. And if you're at the two ends of the market, you're probably in a difficult life because there's no growth in those two ends. But if you find your way through the middle and you can use customer insight, you will get growth. And you will get some reward as a result of that. So this is a famous quote. It's not from me, unfortunately. I'll give a £5 note to the first person who can tell me who's it from. Thank you. You don't live in England, though, do you? No. That's all right, £5 is fine. I'll give you €5. It's probably cheaper. Now, think about this. Now, I say to my lads, because my team are pretty... Neil, by the way, is up there, is my potato buyer. Stand up, Neil. That person buys, 300,000 tonnes of potatoes every year and is responsible for 16% of the UK market. So if you want to have a chat with him afterwards, chat to him, not me. I say to the guys, they know everything about it, but what they can't think is that knowledge prevents them from doing stuff. Because they already say, we can't do that. And I know you, over the last 2 days, have had some brilliant speakers and some people who... Imagination is more important to me than knowledge. So if I'm talking to a grower, and he gets me really excited, or she gets me really excited, if they've got imagination, they think about things, they think about how we sell things in a different way. At the end of the day, I'm here to sell more product. That's my job. And I need people in the room, I need people in my business to be imaginative about how we can sell stuff. You can easily say, you know, the fresh market's absolutely on its knees. We've lost a load of money this year, but we've still got over 65% of the fresh market, of the potato market in the UK. We cannot allow it to decline. We just can't. So, in summary, imagine your product idea. Imagine your product, just for a moment. Just imagine that. Then, imagine you had to go to these houses and sell your product. What would be the benefit? So if you look at the house with the blue door, 3 numbers, what assumptions have you made about those people already? What assumptions have you made about their habit of potato buying? So if you look at the top right-hand door or look at the yellow door, you think, crikey, you know. So what I'm saying to you today is your assumptions, your belief in your own products will prevent you from selling some of your products to us. You will have an assumption about the retailer. You'll have an assumption about us. I've kind of heard it already, you know, the retailers and all that sort of stuff. So I think we are here to have a sustainable business. And we can only have that sustainable business if we have growers who are sustainable. And together, we can create more demand for your products. Thank you.